Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is Solid Addy, here to bring you all my review of Metal Gear Solid 2, The Sons of Liberty. As per usual, please excuse the terrible David Hayter impression. You know, just casually the greatest video game voice actor of all time, in my opinion. And on that note of greatest, XYZs of all time, I think a couple of minutes ago, I just rolled the credits on what I believe, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to be what is within my top 10, or at the very least, top 20 video games of all time, with Metal Gear Solid 2, The Sons of Liberty. This game was unbelievable. I just rolled the credits on it, like I said, on my second stream of the game. It took me 2 streams to beat this. We just got through the finale, and I could not believe what I had experienced. My mind was frickin' blown, and that's an understatement. This game was wonderful. It was prophetic, impactful, resonant, and overall just an experience unlike any other that I have personally been through in that vein. As a quick recap, I've been doing a Metal Gear Solid marathon over on my Twitch channel to celebrate my new rebrand here that happened not long ago into Addy again, a new name across my channels. I'm playing through all the Metal Gear Solid games, all the mainline entries. I played the 5th one extensively back in the day. It's my favorite stealth game to this day, but after having just completed Metal Gear Solid 2, hot on the heels of the first game, which I also reviewed on this channel here, you can check that out, I think that game has some serious competition, given what I felt about Metal Gear Solid 2. Yes, the gameplay in and of itself still reigns supreme with 5, but I think as a complete package, this might not just be my favorite Metal Gear Solid game, but like I said, to harken back to the beginning of this video, this might just be one of my favorite games ever freaking made. A couple of minutes ago, I talked like crazy about this experience. And for this review video, I'm going to be going ahead and showing you my reaction to the credit sequence in Metal Gear Solid 2, as well as my live thoughts and review, essentially, of the game. Because I think I summed up just about everything I felt from playing the game in that moment. And so this is a little intro segment. I'm here to let you guys know this is going to be a very spoilery review and a little bit of background info about the game before we get into it. For those of you who don't know, Metal Gear Solid 2, a hit game released by Konami and Hideo Kojima, hailed as one of the greatest game designers of all time, the greatest in my opinion. This was released in 2001 on the PS2, hot on the heels of Metal Gear Solid 1, which came out only 3 years prior on the PS1. And the elephant in the room here, which I can gush over for hours, is the insane technical leap between the 1998 game to the 2001 game on a brand new platform, on brand new hardware at the time. This game is quite possibly the most ambitious sequel I have ever seen to anything. And between the gameplay, story, the concepts, everything just yells, do you think you've seen everything with the first game? Well, prepare to get your socks blown off. You've seen nothing yet. The ride is just getting started. And I loved that. In Metal Gear Solid 1, you play as the iconic Solid Snake. In Metal Gear Solid 2, the game is split into 2 separate segments. You start the game off as the legendary Snake, and then for the next 80% of the game, you play as the rookie Raiden, who may seem like a little bit of an awkward shift, but you quickly learn that there's something really special about this character and the story he embarks on, and the twists and turns in the story and what they represent thematically and how they affect him narratively, and by extension, the future of the series to create for what is considered to be one of, if not the greatest video game franchises ever made. Metal Gear Solid 1 jogged so that this game could run, is the way I see it currently. I can't wait to play through Metal Gear Solid 3 this coming week to continue this amazing ride that I've been on so far. I'm so happy I'm finally playing the games. I could not be more thrilled. And I am so eager to see how this story evolves and what it culminates to. This story that hops back and forth between multiple eras with multiple different characters on this chessboard, all influencing the lives of soldiers on the battlefield in the war between the US and Russia, and how that impacts the rest of the globe. And a cautionary tale about the horrors of war, nuclear proliferation, and the importance of doing the right thing. But anyways, before I go on a crazy rant, here is my live reaction. Here are my live thoughts right after I finish Metal Gear Solid 2. so you can see exactly how I felt and exactly what I had to say, exactly what I thought in that moment after completing the game. We'll reconvene back here after that's done, and yeah, keep on keeping on. Enjoy. Is this the very end? If it ends on this shot, this is like top 10 games ever made. Yep.
I stare at the stars and the sky.
Holy.
Up above, and
that was fucking unbelievable.
what am I?
This is one of the greatest games I've played in my entire life. If Metal Gear Solid 1 was a 10 out of 10, this is a 15. I can't believe this game, man. Absolute cinema. Yep. Absolute cinema. The fact that this game is as prophetic as it is, which I knew about going into it, how it deals with so many mature themes that are so relevant today. You know, AI, digital information control, right? Echo chambers, which I didn't even expect, right? That hit me from the left field not long ago tonight.
Everyone withdraws into their own small gated community, afraid of a larger forum. They stay inside their bonds, leaking whatever truth suits them into the growing cesspool of society at large.
The different cardinal truths neither clash nor mesh.
He fucking predicted echo chambers.
But nobody is right.
They're talking about echo chambers, bro.
Can take place here.
This is fucking crazy. I mean, I can't say it enough times. Kojima is literally a master at his craft, right? He's one of the greatest to ever do it. In my opinion, the greatest to ever do it with video game design. It's insane how good this game was. Let's go! We beat Metal Gear Solid 2! Hell yeah! Ending off with the doggo treat. Ending off with what Raiden would have wanted. To do a good deed, to do something good. To mark this as the first day of the rest of his life. Let's go! Also, just listen to the music, man. Listen to that music. How did they do this? How did they make this game in 2001? How did they make any of these games in their respective years? Oh yeah, dude. Inject that jazz. Inject that jazz into my veins. At the end of the day, I think the most impressive thing that this game does is it completely reinvents the wheel. Like, imagine going in 3 years from Metal Gear Solid 1 on the PS1 to this game on the PS2 in 2001. This game is like if you take the concept of reinventing the wheel and crank that to 15, but in the best way possible, because that usually has a negative connotation, right? Don't reinvent the wheel, don't do this, don't do that. If you see the jump from this game to from 1 to 2, it absolutely comes across as that, because they basically reconstruct this from the ground up for the PS2. They really go in on the stealth, make it extremely sophisticated, right? Make the AI really smart, the AI really responsive, interactive with one another when you're doing all the stealth segments in the game, which is pretty much the entire game, because the first one, stealth kind of took a bit of a backseat for a lot of it, and eventually the emphasis was more story and boss fights. This game is a nice split of everything. There's a good split of stealth gameplay, a good amount of story, a good amount of boss fighting, and it's all really well designed. A lot of the jank from the PS1 era, if not all of it, is completely cleaned up here. It still is at the mercy of old school, you know, early 2000s, late 90s game design and video game control layouts, right? Like with a fixed camera, not being able to move around while aiming and shooting, that kind of stuff. It can feel a little bit clunky. It takes a little while to get used to all that. But besides that, dude, everything is just polished up so well and, you know, modernized so well for the time. Yeah, what a fucking video game this was. I loved it, man. I loved, you know, when it came out, and here's something I want to kind of talk about that's interesting, right? When this game originally came out, it wasn't received very well. And hold on, I'll hold that thought. Yep, here we go.
Life isn't just about passing on your genes. We can leave behind much more than just DNA.
DNA.
Through speech, music, literature, and movies, what we've seen, heard, felt, anger, joy, and sorrow. These are the things I will pass on. That's what I live for.
Amazing.
We need to pass the torch and let our children read our messy and sad history by its light. We have all the magic of the digital age to do that with. The human race will probably come to an end sometime, and new species may rule over this planet. Earth may not be forever, but we still have the responsibility to leave what traces of life we can. Building the future and keeping the past alive.
Dude, I want to tear up. This is such a beautiful fucking video game series, man. It's such a beautiful series. This is about the horrors of war and the atrocities in war and the dangers of nuclear proliferation. But they're so bleak, but at the end, during their endings, they always end. Kojima always he's always sure to end with a really uplifting, you know, wholesome
Snake,
message
you there?
and reminder
It's
for
me.
humanity.
I finished going over that disc.
Did you find the Patriots list?
Of course. It
Okay.
contains the personal
Here we
data
go.
of 12 people. There was a name on it. Snake, it was one of our biggest contributors.
What's going on around here?
I don't know.
Anyway, where are they?
Well, we were right about them being on Manhattan, but
All right.
What?
they're already dead. All 12 of them.
When did it happen?
Well, about 100 years ago.
Oh, snap.
What the hell?
What? That's crazy. I didn't see that coming. Okay, holy shit. Now it makes even more sense why we're going back in time with MGS3. Holy goddamn. That's the biggest twist of the game. Not the fact that the kernel was an AI, you know, all this other crazy bullshit that we saw, which I can't even think of off the top of my head. There were so many twists. Wow. So like the 12 key members of the Patriots files, release the Patriots files. They're dead. Holy shit. This whole time you've been trying to like find out who they are? Damn. Yeah, dude, what a fucking video game. And yeah, like just, these games always end on such an important, positive reminder for humanity, and they end on a beautiful note. You have the power to do the right thing, you know, and that everything is going to be okay if you do, right? This game was, believe it or not, when Metal Gear Solid 2 originally came out, it wasn't received very well, and now it's aged like fine wine. People hail it as one of the greatest games ever made, and I see why. But at the time, it wasn't received well because you start the prologue of the game off as Solid Snake, right? You're infiltrating the tanker, you're trying to take down this Metal Gear, like, let's go, we're Solid Snake again, you know, and then you realize, wait a minute, that was just the prologue, that was the first, you know, 2 to 3 hours, and now we're this new guy? Who the fuck is Raiden? Who is this weird rookie dude who's caked up? Like, what is going on? So people didn't like that. I think it's wonderful. I loved Raiden, and I think a lot of people have warmed up to the character over time. I think he represents something really meaningful to the game's narrative and its themes. Right, you started this rookie, and it really resonates with me. The reason I loved, one of the main reasons I personally liked Metal Gear Solid 1 a lot was because it had a theme that I love personally in it. The whole, you know, you could be in this underdog, right? And you could be someone weak with the odds stacked against you, but you can still do something incredibly powerful and meaningful, right? Solid Snake is a weak clone. He's the weakest of his 3 brothers, right? He has inferior genes, but he still ends up choosing to do the right thing, to be good, right? And to go off and have a positive impact on the world. Like, that's what I love about FF7 as well, you know, my favorite game. This game kind of really ramped that up through Raiden, right? This is a guy who went through hell as a child, right? He's a child soldier, essentially. He basically has seen all forms of horror in his life, and then he enters the scene as this rookie who can't really remember what happened, what didn't happen, as a result of all this extensive reprogramming and technology exposure. And then he discovers his past, and he's like, well, fuck, like, what's real, what isn't, who am I? He has this identity crisis. And then Snake, through his experiences in the first game, is there to remind him that, hey, listen, you know, you can still choose to be good. You're not defined by your past, right? And I think that was extremely powerful. Right, how he basically decides to go like, you know what, fuck it. I'm not going to be controlled anymore. I'm no one's puppet, right? I'm here to do my own thing. And, you know, only I control fate and my destiny ultimately. I think like this is my interpretation. Before this game came out, there was a demo, right, for Metal Gear Solid 2. In that demo, it was literally just the opening tanker portion with Solid Snake. So people were like, yeah, we're definitely playing Solid. We're back. This is MGS1, but on the PS2. And then, again, you play as Raiden. I think, and this is my interpretation, I think the reason Kojima did that, like made the conscious decision to mislead people, and I might be reading a little bit too far into this, is because he wanted to be very on the nose about the game's theme of information control, right? How the Patriots are trying to rewrite narratives. They have all this power. They have this power to manipulate what's going on. I think that, pulling the rug under and having a demo just be about Solid Snake and the game be about Raiden, right? And the players freaking out about that. I think that was a meta way of Kojima kind of getting that point across. I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I wouldn't put it past him knowing this dude's propensity to make stuff like this, right? All this is to say, I really fucking appreciate and love the hell out of, what this game accomplished. Just like Metal Gear Solid 1, it was really, really revolutionary for its time, quite clearly. I'm just thinking about what it must have been like to be there, man. It must have been some of the most mind-blowing shit you could experience in your entire life. Like, top 15 most mind-blowing things. Yeah, man. What a game. Like I said, if MGS1 was a 10 out of 10, this is a straight up 15 out of 10 game, man. Yeah, this is easily my favorite one so far. Like, I would know shit, like, when I reviewed Metal Gear Solid 1, I mentioned that game had the best story, but it still wasn't my favorite after playing it. That still goes to Metal Gear Solid 5, because I thought the story was decent in that game. It was really enjoyable. It was pretty shocking at parts and, pretty visceral. But the gameplay was king. It still has the best stealth gameplay of all time, obviously. Because the gameplay is just going to get better and better as the technology progresses. But even taking that into consideration, the stuff I experienced in this game, the stuff I went through, the moment-to-moment scenarios, as a complete package, I want to say this is my favorite Metal Gear Solid. There's no doubt about it in my mind. And I can't wait to play 3, because I was in the same boat with Metal Gear Solid 1, where I was like, I don't see how they can top this. Like, the bar is so high with the story, and they top it here. And I'd heard from people that this game tops it. Then the crazy thing is, I heard from people that 3 tops 2, and then 4 tops 3. It just keeps getting better and better. So I cannot wait to play MGS3, dude. It is going to be fucking crazy. We're going to see what that's like. I'm really curious to see my opinions towards these games in the end, and to do like a tier list. It was fucking wonderful, dude. I genuinely cannot believe this game at the end of the day. So, as you saw there, yeah. If Metal Gear Solid 1 was a 10 out of 10, which I believe it was, Metal Gear Solid 2 is absolutely a 15 out of 10 for me. This game, especially its ending, and the messages that it imparts, and the uplifting tone it ends on, much like Kojima's other games. And that's the beautiful thing about his games, is that they deal with such bleak themes and worlds, but they end on a hopeful note, and they end on an inspiriting message for the players. That resonated with me so powerfully. And like I said in my live review, I wanted to tear up during those second set of credits, where Solid Snake is talking about the importance of being a good person, of doing the right thing. I loved Metal Gear Solid 2. As it stands right now, it's my favorite game in the series. It's one of my favorite games of all time. And I can't wait to play the third one, like I said at the beginning of this video. There's so much to love here. There are definitely so many things I didn't mention that I wanted to in the moment during that live review. This game also has, I think, so far in the series, the coolest boss fight I've ever experienced, right? Even cooler than any kind of boss fight I experienced in Metal Gear Solid 5, which was my favorite one from a gameplay standpoint. The final boss in this game, and you know what, we can talk about it, screw it, because I've already spoken about so many spoilers at this point, and a lot of you are already very familiar with Metal Gear Solid 2, so this will be a spoiler. The final fight has Raiden fighting Solid as Snake in a katana battle, and it feels amazing. The katana combat in this game is exceptionally fluid, smooth, it looks cool, and the music that overlays everything, my god, this game's soundtrack is out of this world. The music in that final fight is sick. Definitely the highlight in terms of boss fights across all the Metal Gear games. And, of course, all the little trademark Kojima quirky bits of humor and things that make a Kojima game. You know, one of my favorite bits of going through this game was during the codec calls. You know, zoom in to Raiden's face and zoom out and hit the right trigger on your controller and make him say these random interjections while he's talking to other characters, like, what a weirdo, or whatever.
Kept us drugged, controllable.
Oh my god!
Whatever.
When the Civil War ended, those of us
There's just so many silly little Kojima-isms. I think one of the beautiful things about Metal Gear Solid is how they tell very serious war stories, but at the end of the day, you know, they still have a couple of lighthearted moments sprinkled throughout. There's a lot of camp, there's a lot of goofiness to kind of offset a lot of the darkness and the bleakness, but in ways that don't feel too overbearing. It's the perfect, you know, blend of light and dark, and I love that. Before I sign off, there is one thing I really wanted to say in my Metal Gear Solid 1 review that I didn't, and is also really pertinent in this game. One of my favorite things about the stories in Metal Gear Solid is the twists and turns, and more specifically in regards to the mission itself. In Metal Gear Solid 1, when Solid Snake is sent to Shadow Moses Island, it's revealed over the course of the game that his reason for being there is based on several different agendas. There are multiple characters from multiple factions who want him to be there on that island doing what he's doing for multiple reasons. And that conspiratorial nature is heavily borrowed by Metal Gear Solid 2, if not fully delved into by that game. Metal Gear Solid 1 essentially plays in the shallow end with it, and Metal Gear Solid 2 goes in the deep end, dude. It's insane what the Big Shell ends up being at the end of the day. Big Shell being, you know, the facility that Raiden infiltrates, and how that all culminates in the game, touching on themes like, you know, how I mentioned in the live review, information control, AI, freaking echo chambers, which I couldn't believe that was a thing. I knew about some of these themes going into the game, but that one really took me by surprise. Seeing that in a game in 2001, it again, all I can say, mind blown. Yeah, Metal Gear Solid 2 is a masterpiece. I'm so glad I played it, and I would love to play it again someday. A lot of you who watch me stream this game, particularly my friends who've played through it already, I apologize for making it a rough watch because I was struggling. It's hard for me personally to get a grasp on controls from older 3D games, right? So it took me a little minute. I went through the ringer a couple of times, but I really want to say I appreciate all of you who gave me a lot of tips and a lot of support through the playthrough and helped me through and were very patient. But I can't wait. I cannot wait to see what's in store next, especially after that little post-credits conversation you saw me witness in Metal Gear Solid 2, which has me uber hyped. I'm really digging this story so far. The story of how there's a shadowy organization called the Patriots pulling the strings. You know, I can't wait to see where that's all going to go. I've heard of all these characters, all of these concepts before, but obviously I've never played the games, right? It's one thing to watch like recap video after recap video and to read up on the wikis here and there, left and right, but it's a wholly different beast to actually play the game and see the story for yourself, see it unfold before your own eyes and digest all of it. And so I'm glad I'm finally doing that for myself. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be it for me today. Thank you so much for checking out my review. I'm sure that fellow Metal Gear Solid fans out there can really empathize and understand how I feel right now. I've reached out to some of my close pals in the community who love this game. One of them, Shibi the Shinobi, this is his favorite game of all time, I believe. I immediately reached out. I was like, man, I couldn't believe that ending. What a game. What a work of art. I can't believe what I experienced. I just had to reach out to friendos and let them know that I finished the game. You know something's good when you got to do that, right? But anyway, that's enough yapping out of me. Thanks for checking out the video today, folks. I'll see you with the Metal Gear Solid 3 review. But until then, keep on keeping on.